Mascots are a fascinating thing to me. They seem entirely unnecessary to me, like I don't need a CGI gerbil or some crap to sell me my next hot dog. But if there is one, I'll buy 10. Really, there's no denying how much of an impact a good mascot can have on success. It's pretty common knowledge at this point that Pikachu wasn't originally going to be the face of the Pokemon series, but have you ever stopped and considered how much less popular Pokemon might have been if they had gone with Clefairy instead? We've at this point seen 900 different monsters, and honestly, I don't think a single one of those other 899 are as perfect for the job as he is. Okay, everyone's wrong sometimes. Pikachu is cute, Pikachu is cool, it's got an uncontroversial, generally perceived as gender-neutral color palette. It feels as though it was designed to be the mascot, and I think it's one of the best examples of a perfect one in history. But I didn't strike up a conversation about mascots so we could talk about good ones. No. There is no joy for us here. There is only The Noid. The Noid, for those who don't know, was a mascot for Domino's Pizza, my favorite way to shit myself, all the way back in 1986. The concept behind the commercial featuring him was that this little guy just loves to ruin pizza, like he is straight up dedicated to ensuring you have a bad meal. Lucky for you, Domino's is the one pizza place on Earth that avoids the Noid. But like when you watch the commercial, they just slide the pizza directly into his contraption, and the Domino's is just too powerful for that, so I don't really think avoiding him is the problem at all. Oh, and also, why is he a tiny man in a rabbit onesie? At this point, the most appropriate question to ask would be, why am I, who mostly talks about video games, wasting your time with a history lesson on the Noid? And there are two answers to that. The first is that, for whatever reason, the Noid came back this year. Everyone was pretty sure he was gone for good after that hostage incident. A story for another day. But lo and behold, this pizza place decided to try their hand at disproving the existence of God. The second, much more concerning for humanity's collective sanity reason is that there are now 3 video games featuring the Noid. And obviously I'm gonna play them all. 1990s, yo! Noid is a pretty standard tie-in game. Not only is there nothing particularly interesting about it, but it's also a blatant reskin of another game, that being the Japan-only Kamen no Ninja Hanamaru. And when I say reskin, I mean it in just about the most literal way possible. Aside from a couple music tracks, the visuals are the only difference here, hence why New York City has an ice level. And obviously, I more than expected to say here that the Noid has the superior version because he's, you know, the f***ing Noid. But actually, bro, Hanamaru forgoes his yo-yo attack in favor of sicking his bird friend on people, so I don't really think the Pizza Goblin ever stood a chance. Good thing that's the one we're talking about. And before I move on, I find it only courteous to ask, you guys don't mind if I spoil the plot of Yo Noid, do you? It's all set in motion when Mr. Green starts unleashing a bunch of monsters and general ruffians upon New York City, leaving the mayor to give the Noid the job of putting a stop to him. That's it. This plot is f***ing absurd. You expect me to believe that the Noid respects local government? In terms of the actual gameplay, I'll be honest, it could have been a lot worse. Yeah, this skateboard level is completely and utterly broken, but the standard running and jumping stuff isn't honestly that bad. I suppose when I found out about the reskin thing, I should have dropped any preconceptions about it being shovelware, but I find myself at least 10% impressed. After some of the levels, you end up in a pizza eating contest with another Noid? The people in charge of the Domino's lore books are in f***ing tears right now, but honestly, this is probably my favorite part of the game. You just pick a card from a giant list, and if you pick a card with a bigger number than his, you gain the difference in points, and you win by either filling these point holders up or running your opponent out of cards. The thing is, if you don't know where any of the secret multiplayer cards are like I didn't, you're gonna run into situations where your only hope of survival is running them out of cards, and it can get kinda tense. The definitive worst part of Yo Noid for the NES, however, is... That's a real sentence I just started. Where did my life go wrong? Any hit by any enemy or obstacle sends you back to the start of the level, which gets old after approximately the second time it happens. This was kind of the NES's thing though. Much better games on it have done much worse, so I can't be too hard on it. This may shock you, but I don't really enjoy this game enough to put in the amount of time required to finish it, considering it has limited continues, but through the power of using save states at the start of every level, I got there. The last pizza eating contest versus Mr. Green himself was not the most intense since I had already figured out my strategy before taking him on, but now we can all see what video game fans in 2021 have truly been missing out on. Oh, Yeah. Now tell me, what is crazier? The Noid getting a video game on the NES 4 years after his commercial was even remotely relevant, or that game getting a PS1 sequel? Yo Noid 2 Enter the Void is a 1999 follow-up to the critically beloved first game, and it's basically an improvement in every way. The Noid's rocking out in 3D now as he jumps off walls, swings with his yo-yo, fights Hatsune Miku's dad. Okay, I have to make a slight confession. I may have made all of that up. Except for the Miku thing, because of course that's real. Yo Noid 2 Enter the Void is actually a 2017 fan game for PC made by a talented group of developers for the new Jam City Game Jam. So the real question is, why did all of that talent go towards this? Directly after the events of the first game, the Noid is walking down the street with his pizzas when he realizes that his trusty yo-yo has been stolen. That might make you think the game's gonna be all about him getting it back, but no, he gets it back immediately. Instead, it ends up being about who took the yo-yo and why. In the end, it all turns out to be the big master plan of one Mike Hatsune, the father of the Vocaloid artist who wants to, hear me out, use Scott, now former president of Domino's Pizza, to replace the Noid as the company mascot with his daughter. It should be crystal clear at this point that this game's sense of humor is at the forefront of it, and even though I get every reference they're making, I can't say my own personal sense of humor completely matches up. That's fine though, I'll be happy enough if I can just get a sick 3D platformer out of this whole thing. And I did, right? You see, here's the thing. This relatively small team had, as far as I can infer, about 1 single month to make this entire game, and from that perspective, I think this game came out fantastic, but it's also one I'm not so sure I can see myself ever playing again. I said, what about a Noid game? The number one thing I always stress when I talk about platformers is consistency. I want to know that when I hit that button, it's gonna do what I expect, and that's something I just can't trust this game for. The wall jumping just seems to fail every time I really need it to work, and the way the yo-yo functions is occasionally incomprehensible. So even though I think both the physics and level design are pretty good for the most part, those few things just prevent me from really getting into it. Again, I need to say, they did a great job all things considered, but I do think it falls just short of hilarious greatness. Then again, it is a meme game, so maybe this is how it was always intended to be. And with that, we come to our final game of the night. We've seen the 90s brand tie-in game, the unofficial sarcastic 2010s revival game. It only makes sense that our third and final game would be Crash Bandicoot on the Run. What the f***? Just look at this image. The struggle to believe that this is real is so unbelievably valid, and that's what I experienced right as I woke up on the morning of April 26th, 2021. Way to start off the day with a mind melter. Crash on the Run isn't much more than a decent game, but the thing that hooks me in particular back to it is how much love it seems to have for Crash's entire history. If you're a fan of the Orange Spino, you're probably already playing this because the fan service is just blowing the roof off the place, and now it's got the Noid 2, thank God. The game is a standard 3-lane runner that you can find millions of on mobile, but some of the levels have an actual end to them, where you have to maneuver around a boss's attacks and finish them off with the weapons you brought. And for a limited time, the Noid was just one of those. Nothing but a complete and utter brand tie-in, which, you know, kind of brings us full circle. Also, apparently Crash isn't the only one whose history they care about, because the Noid's weapon in this game is an ice ray gun, which as it turns out is a cheeky little reference to some of the old commercials, and I like that. To be honest though, I'm not super thrilled to be at the stage of my life where I easily understand Noid references. But that's it, right? I think we made it through. So there's a fourth one. Of course there is. Look, it's a 1989 DOS game called Avoid the Noid. I don't know what you want from me. Literally all you do is try to make your way up this endless apartment building while dodging Noids along the way. And I guess I kind of appreciate that this is the only one where you're actually a pizza delivery man fighting against the Noid, but what else can I say, man? I wonder how many years of my life I just shaved off playing f***ing Noid games. Probably almost as much as I'd lose from eating a Domino's pizza, but that's not saying a whole lot. I might be screwed. Oh, thank God that was the last game. I don't think I could stand another freaking second of this little red rabbit freak. How do I wrap this up? Don't waste your life playing Noid games like me. Support your local pizza places, and don't forget to always avoid not paying your taxes, because you will go to prison. You're welcome.